No, they hate this whole idea. I think there's some idea out there that Trump's somehow a conquering hero, but he's in fact is welcomed in Washington, D.C. as Eagles fans are Commanders games. What are we talking about here? Well, take a look here. D.C. residents on Trump and local issues. He's too involved. Look at this. 71% say he is too involved, and this, of course, was even before Monday's actions, compared to just 11% who say they want him more involved. In fact, a majority of every single demo tested by the Washington Post in a poll earlier this year found that they believe that he was, in fact, too involved. D.C. residents hate this whole idea of Trump getting involved in local issues.
But how do they feel about crime? Do they agree with the president that this is something that's out of control?
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that a little bit, right? D.C. residents on the top problem facing D.C., crime, violence, and guns. In 2022, it was 36%. But look at this. It dropped 15 points to 21% earlier this year. I should note that about 50% of D.C. residents do believe that crime is either extremely or very important problem, but even that 50% is down from 65% back in 2024. So D.C. residents, like the crime statistics themselves, suggest that crime is becoming less of an issue in our nation's capital. And at this particular point, just 21% of D.C. residents, in fact, believe that the top problem facing Washington, D.C. is crime, violence, and guns. And that might be part of the reason why D.C. residents, in fact, believe that Trump's getting too involved in local issues and won't exactly like this move.
And what does the data say about President Trump and his relationship to D.C., why he might have feelings about that?
Yeah, a lot of people have been concentrating on the policy of this decision by President Trump, but I think it's also important to point out the politics of this decision and just talk about one reason why Donald Trump might not like Washington, D.C. besides the crime issue. And that is because take a look at all of the counties or the county equivalents nationwide. We're talking over 3,000. Where did Donald Trump do the worst in 2024? Well, he did the worst in Washington, D.C., getting just 6.5% of the vote. The vast majority, 90% plus of D.C. voters went against Donald Trump. Again, I just think it's so important to point out that D.C. residents don't like this move, and they really don't like President Trump. They hate Donald Trump. They hate Republicans. Over and over again, they have voted against Donald Trump, voted against Republicans. And again, on the crime issue that's so important, a smaller and smaller percentage going down, believe it is the top problem in our nation's capital.